The following program is produced by Londonderry residents. The views and opinions expressed are not necessarily the views and opinions of the LACTV staff or its volunteers, and should not be considered an endorsement by CTV 20 or its staff and volunteers.
Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Concord Conversations. As we had said a couple weeks ago, we wanted to bring all the state representative candidates, Republican state representative candidates in so that you could further get to know them and know their backgrounds and a little bit about what they hope to accomplish in the next legislative session. And today we have with us Tom Dolan, who is a former town councilor, and I will turn over the mic to you, Tom. And you can give the people that don't know you, most of them do, a little bit of explanation about yourself.
Thank you, Sherm. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate you watching the show. This particular show is hopefully going to be informative to you as you head to the polls in the next couple of weeks. A little bit about myself. I've been in Londonderry since the mid-'80s and been a New Hampshire resident for much longer than that. I originally came to New Hampshire and as a high school student to Hollis. Grew up in Hollis and went to Bishop Girton High School, played football there, and made a lot of friends in the Nashua area. And then from there, I went to West Point, earned a nomination and eventual appointment to the academy back in the dark ages of the 70s, and went in to serve my country in the U.S. Army for several years. When I left the service, I stayed local, moved to Londonderry, began a career in aerospace and defense in the defense industries, and educated my children here in Londonderry in the Londonderry Public Schools. My wife is a lifetime school teacher and taught school at Matthew Thornton. We found that the facilities in town weren't as good as they could have been, and I got involved in the local soccer outfit. And as we began talking among the coaches, we said, well, gee, why don't we start hosting soccer tournaments in our own town instead of going on all these travel squads? And that was considered to be tough and a tough assignment, so I volunteered to get that going and actually started the first Londonderry Labor Day soccer tournament that some of you probably feel a little bit plagued with all the traffic around Labor Day for that, but that started up in the 90s, and it's been very successful ever since. Later I began to get more active in local politics, and as Sherm mentioned, became a town councilor and served 6 terms as one of your town councilors here in Londonderry, and also 1 term as on the budget committee. And it's been kind of my motto throughout my public career to serve others, and that's what I was primarily doing. I was a nonpartisan, serving the community of everybody. And then when what time had passed, I decided to get into partisan politics and decided to run for state representative, and am now finishing up my 3rd term as one of your state reps. As a state rep, I have found that Londonderry has a certain swagger, if you will, among state reps in the state. We have the Speaker of the House who's sitting next to me, and we have probably the most popular state senator in the state, Sharon Carson, who, if you're good at reading the tea leaves, probably is going to be the Senate president very shortly. Quite a coup for Londonderry and its community to have both the Speaker of the House and the state Senate president from the same community. And I have found that many in the State House turn to Londonderry's reps looking for advice as to how do you do it, what should we be doing in our communities, and so forth. So we have found ourselves kind of at the center of attention in many cases in Concord. So with that, I'll turn it back to my colleagues. That's my background. I look forward to serving again, serving you as Londonderry residents for Londonderry. Thank you.
Well, to my left is Doug Thomas, and Doug is the Vice Chairman of the Science, Technology, and Energy Committee. And I can't remember how many terms you are, Doug, but why don't you, give the people a little bit of an explanation of yourself too.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, welcome to Concord Conversations. I moved to Londonderry later in my life in New Hampshire, so my son was raised in the Salem school system. So he has played baseball and soccer there. I was in charge of the Salem Youth Soccer Association. Then I moved on up into the New Hampshire Soccer Association and became a lifetime member. But realistically, I've been a resident of New Hampshire since I was the age of 9. When my folks moved into the state, I went to school in Orford, and I actually graduated from Hanover High School. After college, I went into the Air Force under ROTC, always kept my residency here in the state, and when I moved back when I got out of the Air Force, I said New Hampshire's a place I wanted to move to. So I pretty much know a lot about New Hampshire. I've traveled around the entire state in all capacities, and I'm pretty proud of what the state has become. We are different, and we're unique from the rest of New England, and I think I like it that way, and I believe the people in New Hampshire enjoy the fruits of that. When I did move to Londonderry, I did become a member of the Old Home Day Parade Committee, served on that for several years. I also became chair of the Senior Resources Committee for about 6 years. And then I decided it was time for me to run for state rep because I wanted to give back to the community, and I felt this was the best way to do it. So that's my background here. I know, as the speaker mentioned, I'm on the Science, Tech, and Energy Committee. We work hard to try and keep a lot of these programs from infringing to increase our electric bills even more. It's very difficult. It's a different type of committee because so much of what you see on your bill is governed by federal programs that the state has very little control over. However, we try to nip away at some of the programs that were established at the state level earlier in the 2000s, and which causes subsidies to be paid out, which of course does increase your electric bill, and we've been trying to chip away at those to bring at least those costs down as much as possible. That's what I intend to continue to do should I return to the committee, and I'd also like to start promoting a lot of other new energy programs so that we have a balanced approach to add to our energy mix. So that's my contribution so far, and with that, I'd like to turn it over back to the speaker.
Well, thank you, Doug and Tom, and let me give you a little bit of background on myself. I moved to Londonderry 51 years ago. I'm a New Hampshire native. I was born and brought up in Manchester, and I moved to Londonderry because of the great school system we had, so I could put my daughter through the Londonderry school system. And I say I moved here in 1973, and this is my 17th term in the New Hampshire House. I served as the chairman of transportation for 12 years, and minority leader back in 9 and 10, and I've also served as Speaker Pro Tem and Deputy Speaker, and now I'm the Speaker of the House, and I'm running again to be the Speaker of the House, so that if Sherman is the Senate President and I'm the Speaker, it will be a tremendous benefit to Londonderry and our ability to help the citizens in the community. I was very instrumental in getting the money for the water project going up High Range Road, and I also was able to get a grant a couple of years ago for the robotics program. And so that's the kind of things that we're capable of doing. And what we also want to make sure we do is keep New Hampshire, New Hampshire. We've cut many of the business taxes. We've cut the rooms and meals tax. We're phasing out the interest and dividends tax so that all the people that are retired in the city, in the town, can make sure that their interest and dividends isn't taxed anymore, as it has been for the last many number of years. And that's some of the stuff that we've been able to do in the past 4 years. We passed one of the most conservative budgets back in 21-22 in this past session with almost even membership in the House. We were still able to get a lot of our programs and bills passed. And so we are constantly looking out for the citizens of the state of New Hampshire and the citizens of Londonderry. And Tom, why don't you talk a little bit about the commission, the committee we had you chair this past session.
Sure. One of the assignments that the speaker gave to me was to chair a commission on, a committee on commissions, which basically was to reduce the amount of committees and commissions that were out there. We were kind of drowning in these things and the real hidden issue there is the cost associated with them. All these committees and commissions have to be staffed by legislators, members of the bureaucracy at the state, and as well as several volunteers to come and serve on them. And what this does is drain resources and increases the cost of government in general. So the idea was to try to eliminate those committees and commissions that were redundant to each other, and that some are no longer serving their purpose, some are outdated, some of them hadn't even met in years, and they were just on the books and still drawing resources from the state and at both the legislature and in the state bureaucracy. So the idea was to eliminate as many as we can right off the bat, and this is not done. This is going to be an ongoing effort as we continue along. I think it was largely successful. I'm happy that we were able to cut several of these commissions out of business and again reduce the cost of government. If I may, let me say one other thing that switching gears, one of the views that I had while sitting 6 terms on the local Londonderry Town Council was looking out at the audience, which had a regular set of folks that would show up every week. In some cases, would show up for special items that were coming up on the calendar. But one face I saw out there every single time we met was Representative Doug Thomas. He came to all of our meetings, made sure that Londonderry's voices were heard, and would get up and speak and give updates to the town council as to what the legislator was facing that particular week or that month, and some of the things that the town needed to know about. So I just want to publicly express my appreciation on behalf of the town council when I was on it for Doug's resilience to be able to show up every meeting and tell us what was going on in Concord. So I appreciate that.
Well,
So what do you got coming up this session? Do you know, Doug?
Well, yes. So first, thank you, Tom, for those kind comments. I try to make as many meetings as I can. Coming up in our committee is going to be more of an effort to further reduce some of the state mandated programs that affect your electric bill. We have one thing called the Citizens Benefits Charge. We've been trying to get rid of that for several years. Perhaps with more of a majority, we might be more successful. These are things these are all hidden fees that are on your electric bills. Most people don't even look at the itemized amounts on your electric bill, but a lot of these are hidden fees. And although they may only be $3, $4, $5 a month, they add up over a year. And if you add on several of these small programs at $2 here, $1 there, $4 there, they do add up, and they've been adding up since the early 2000s. So we'll be working on that. We're working on trying to introduce some education on the new technology for education, for energy, I should say, and that being the new, safer technology on small-scale nuclear energy. We don't have any grandiose expectations that anything will come here to the state anytime soon, but we do want to pave the groundwork for in the future where we might be able to get more generation due to small-scale nuclear energy, which is again much safer and is a much smaller area and covers a smaller footprint, but can be used for a lot of the programs. It's being adopted by several organizations in this country. It's gaining more acceptance. Both sides, it's a bipartisan issue right now. Both sides are using the words. They're discussing ways of how it can be introduced, and that would be a good way to supplement some of our power issues that we have right now. I'd like to add, though, that one of the things, many people don't really know what we do at the state or what we do at the state, how it affects them. They see things more locally, and so that's when they see things happen. I would like to mention that one of the things that my committee did a couple of years ago, which took great effort, was to introduce and allow the concept of community aggregation power, which was a brand new concept, basically a middleman buying power and being able to sell it at a slightly reduced rate. Our committee paved the way for policy that now allows these programs to operate in the state. And one of the benefits from that, I believe you'll see soon, is from our utilities committee here in town, which is looking over and pondering the idea of joining community power. And so you'll be hearing more of that. It's already hit the papers a few times, but that program itself, that's a direct benefit of what we do at the state level when in our committees, when ideas like that come across our desk and we have public debate and we decide to adopt it, the benefits can be seen here at the local town level. So we're particularly proud about that, and we should be hearing more about that pretty soon.
One of the things I'd like to mention is the importance of electing all the 7 Republican reps in Londonderry. As I said, we're phasing out the interest and dividends tax, which affects a tremendous amount of people in Londonderry, especially those that are retired and living off Social Security and their interest from the interest and dividends. So the Democrats have already promised, and Joyce Craig in her TV ads has said that she already wants to bring back that tax. So make no mistake about it, this isn't the only tax that if they take over the state of New Hampshire that you will be saddled with. They will absolutely have to put an income tax in along with putting back in the interest and dividends tax, because they're spending the amount of revenue we're taking in right now is nowhere near the amount of money they want to spend. And this alone would make New Hampshire, Massachusetts north or Vermont east, or it's not going to be pretty, and the money is going to be coming out of your pockets. So what I'm asking is that when you go to the ballot box and please get out and vote. This is one of the greatest things that this country does, is it has fair and open elections, and we're encouraging you with the utmost encouragement to get out and vote. And we ask, obviously, that you vote for the Republican ticket, but you need to vote for the whole Republican ticket, from the top to the bottom or from the bottom up, either way. Have you got any ideas that you want to try and accomplish this next session?
Thank you, Sherm. I did want to mention a couple of things. One, the New Hampshire advantage. We have an advantage. None of our neighbors in New England or anywhere nearby have the absence of the income tax and sales tax like New Hampshire has. And that's a real advantage to us. And it's a real cost to you if we don't maintain that. I can tell you there's a lot of chatter in Concord about putting in an income tax or putting in a sales tax, one or the other or both, because there's a scramble for revenue, and that's a easy way for the state to achieve its revenue goals that the Republicans do not want. And I can tell you the 7 of us that are running from Londonderry are united against any income tax or sales tax. So we will help protect you from that fate, if you will. There's one other thing that's a little insipid in its development, but it comes out of, I'm sure you've heard of the Green New Deal that has been talked about nationally. And New Hampshire has been a little bit nipped by that. And let me explain that, what I mean. For those of you who have various choices of fuel for your homes and your vehicles, one of the things that's under attack is the use of alternate fuels. For example, like propane. Many of you have generators at your home. Some of you have heating systems that use propane, or maybe a fireplace in your family room that uses propane. Those are under attack. And what do I mean by that? There is a movement nationwide to eliminate the use of those resources, and basically to make it illegal for you to have those types of resources and have them removed from your home at your cost. And you say, well, they can't do that. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. And the way it's been happening, or started to happen, that we put a stop to it, was in various communities in the state, there's been an inflection of efforts through the, believe it or not, through the planning boards of the various communities. And what that means is the planning boards gets infected with this, with these ideas, and all of a sudden you find the planning board will tell builders that yes, your development's going to be approved, however, you must live by these rules we're setting up for you. In other words, the energy you put in these homes in your development are going to be all electric. No propane, no oil, no wood burning, all electric. And you say, well, gee, how do they do that? They put it in the town's ordinances, and you will never even see it coming. And in some cases, they'll say you have to, those existing systems that you have in your homes are going to have to be removed at your cost, and you're going to have to be replaced. And it may be a little at a time. Say, well, when your system fails and it's time to replace it, you're going to have to replace it with an all-electric system. We have been able to step in front of that and stop that and give you the choice. It should, our view, it should be the homeowner's, consumer's choice as to what type of energy you want to use in your community, in your home, and not the government's decision as to what that ought to be. And those types of freedoms are things that we're trying to preserve by maintaining our majority at the state, so that you can't be told to do that, even if it comes around the corner in the back door from your local community ordinances, that we're going to make those ordinances not legal, and make sure that you don't have to change your source of energy because of anybody's idea of a Green New Deal or some other source of change. So vote your Republican representatives to preserve your way of life, preserve your New Hampshire advantage of no income tax and no sales tax, because that's under attack, and there are folks that want to change that.
One of the other things that, going on for what Tom just said, is another program that the Democrats are pushing very hard, which started in California, is that they want to eliminate the internal combustion engine. And they passed a law in California that says by, I think it's 2035, that you cannot sell any car that has an internal combustion engine. Everything has to be electric. And a number of states have already passed this same legislation. They've tried it in New Hampshire a couple of times, and we've been fortunate enough to defeat it. There is still a lot of problems with these electric vehicles, and that the batteries, once they catch fire, it's nearly impossible to put them out, and it's not something that the government should be mandating as to going on what Tom said. And we had that bill in New Hampshire a few years ago where they wanted all new construction, I forget by what date, all new construction to be electric heat. And we were able to defeat that, and we've been able to defeat these horrific California standards on motor vehicles also. And this is the kind of things that will be delivered by a Democrat majority in the state of New Hampshire. And this state will cease to be the bastion of freedom that it is right now. Doug?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to just sum up by saying that I've been going door to door amongst our constituents here this election season, and with virtually no exception, when I ask them the question, how do you like what's going on in the state? Are there any major issues you have with what's happening in the state? Almost to all of them, they come back and say, no, I mean, not really. We think the state's doing okay. We think it's going in a good direction. No major issues. Obviously, a few people have, here and here, but the word I'm getting back is people are generally pretty happy with the way the state is being run right now. So I would say these are the people that are the incumbents right now that are running the state, and the people here in town seem to feel that we're doing a pretty good job. So when you look at those names on the ballot, you'll see very familiar names. All 7 of us are incumbents. And even the new ones, they subscribe to the same policies that we are promoting. So I would submit that people there are doing a good job. You want to keep the state running in the same direction. The people that are here now and also rerunning, they're the ones that are going to continue to do it.
Mike, if I may add to that, what I would like to suggest is that if you think things are going well now, if you like your New Hampshire and you like the freedoms that you have, don't assume that they're going to stay that way. You need to take the steps to come out and vote on election day. Don't assume anything. The winds of change to change us to a much less free state are out, and you need to help control those. And I ask you to come out and vote for your Republican representatives to keep New Hampshire free and to keep our New Hampshire advantage.
And I'd like to close, and I'd like to say thank you for watching this episode of Concord Conversations. We will be having another one next week. We'll be having 2 of our other candidates for the House as guests. And for myself, I'd just like to say I've serving in my 17th term in the House, and I would certainly appreciate if I could remain and get your vote on November 5th. And with that, thank you for watching this segment of Concord Conversations, and we'll see you next Monday. And thank you, Tom, and thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
preceding program was produced by Londonderry residents. The views and opinions expressed are not necessarily the views and opinions of the LACTV staff or its volunteers and should not be considered an endorsement by CTV 20 or its staff and volunteers.